With Dr. Stone ending, I've got a lot of feelings about the show I need to get out. I actually started watching this back in 2019, dropped it for a while, and only came back when I heard it was getting a new season. And I'm really glad I did, because my man Senku had it bad this season. So to honor the anime that has literally changed my life and could probably change yours too, let's talk about things that will make you fall in love with Dr. Stone. The fourth and final season aired its first episode on January 9th, 2025, all the way to June 25th, 2026. And it wasn't just fans losing it over this show. It had real collaborations with companies like NASA and JAXA, which tells you something about how seriously this anime takes its science. Let's start with one thing that kept me hooked on the anime. No, it's not the fact that the show is scientifically accurate, although the show does warn audiences not to imitate it because of that fact. It's our main character, Senku Ishigami. I have a lot to say about the show's resident mad scientist. Most of it I cannot include in this video because it's a lot of points and I'd need to make a whole in-depth video about him alone. Senku is such a deep character for a protagonist, which is a bold statement for me considering that this is the first actual shonen I've been exposed to. Apart from Gachiakuta, My Hero Academia, and Yu Yu Hakusho, but we don't talk about that. Apart from being one of the rare few to have an actually present father, Senku is also very emotionally mature, being in tune with his emotional state despite not prioritizing it all that much. That trait doesn't stay with just Senku. It's baked into the show's entire DNA. Because Dr. Stone isn't about one guy being smart, it's about a whole philosophy of how they treat people, even the ones trying to hurt them. This is especially evident with characters like Tsukasa and Zeno, who were redeemed after their respective arcs. And that same trust, trusting that people can grow, that plans can work, is basically the show's whole operating philosophy. The show puts a heavy emphasis on scientific accuracy, though with some leniency on the inventions. Most of the show's strength is in the process of making it to the end of the roadmap, aka trusting the process. Time and time again, we see Senku follow each step in the scientific process with diligence. This trait doesn't stop at just Senku. The same trust the process mentality spreads to literally everyone around him, because Dr. Stone puts just as much emphasis on the process of science as it does the results. And that emphasis on process isn't just a theme, it completely reshapes how the show handles its action. Here's the thing about Dr. Stone that I don't think gets talked about enough. The action isn't separate from the building, the project building is the action. Most shonen give you a training arc then a fight. Dr. Stone doesn't really do that split. The fight is Senku and the crew racing against a deadline tighter than Senku's patience for slow progress to actually make the thing work. And what's cool is, this isn't static, it escalates. In the earlier seasons, something like sulfuric acid, batteries, or basic electricity is a massive struggle, because Senku's building all of this completely from scratch with zero infrastructure. Every single win is hard fought, but by seasons 3 and 4, everything starts moving faster. Because of all that early groundwork, it starts compounding. Progress ramps up and it actually feels earned. Because you watched him build the foundation for it brick by brick for 3 seasons straight. Honestly, this might be the only time I'll ever say I'm okay with power creep in a story. And this is the part where I actually mentioned that changed my life thing I said at the start. Because underneath everything, Dr. Stone is edutainment at heart. It's a shonen that's secretly trying to teach you something and it works! Did you know that until I finished the first season, I didn't know a cell phone required this many components? The materials, the chemistry, the sheer number of steps between raw material and then thing in my pocket. Dr. Stone made me stop and think about that. It didn't just make me appreciate the show, it made me appreciate everything. Every piece of modern life I take for granted took someone somewhere an absurd amount of trial and error to figure out. Dr. Stone basically made human progress into the main focus. It also did something I didn't expect. It made me want to learn things for myself, to actually question how stuff works instead of just accepting that it does. That's not something I can say a lot about shows I've watched. Most of them, I just finish them and move on. But with Dr. Stone, I finished and then I started Googling how batteries work. But there's one more layer to it, because it's not just that Dr. Stone made me appreciate what one person can build. It's what happens when everyone does. So look back at everything I just said. Senku, a protagonist who leads with intelligence rather than brute strength, a show that treats even its villains as people worth saving and not just obstacles to punch through, action that isn't a fight scene but actual work building something real one step at a time, and underneath all of it, a show that quietly taught me to look at the world, my phone, the tools I use, the things I take for granted, and actually ask how they work. Humankind is stronger together. And you feel that hardest in the ending, because by the time the story wraps up, it's not just Senku who's celebrated that saved the day. It's every single person who picked up a tool, ran the experiment, and believed the plan actually worked. Anyway, the show is so good, despite not doing a single thing the typical shonen anime does. There's no power-ups, training arcs, or villain to punch into submission, unless you count Ibara. It's just people and science and the belief that if you can trust the process, you can build anything. Even a whole civilization from scratch and stone tools. And honestly, that's exactly why I love it. Dr. Stone proved you can make a shonen where the climax is a group of nerds pulling off a plan and it still feels like the most hyped thing on TV. Thank you so much for listening to my unhinged ranting about Dr. Stone. Let me know if you want more content like this by giving this video a like and sharing it with your friends. And if you want me to talk about something else, tell me about it in the comments. I would love to dig into new topics. With that out of the way, I hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night.